That tiny colored rectangle inside your laptop might look like a simple design choice: black, blue, teal, even red. But it quietly controls how fast your data moves, how much power your device gets, and sometimes which features even work. Most people assume those colors are just cosmetic, or maybe a vague speed hint. They're not. Behind each color is a messy history of evolving USB standards, manufacturer shortcuts, and a signaling system that almost nobody actually explains. Once you see what those colors were supposed to mean and how they're used in the real world, every USB port on your computer suddenly tells a very different story. Here's what's really happening. White ports. USB 1.x. White USB ports usually indicate USB 1.x, the earliest generation of USB. This was the first attempt to create a universal connector for everyday computer devices. In the late 1990s, computers used many different ports for keyboards, printers, and accessories. USB 1.x simplified that mess by allowing multiple devices to use the same type of connection. It supported speeds up to 12 megabits per second. That was acceptable for simple peripherals, but extremely slow by modern standards. In real use, it worked fine for keyboards, mice, and basic accessories, but transferring files like photos or music quickly became frustrating. The benefit was simplicity and wide compatibility. The downside was very limited speed. Today, white USB ports mostly appear on older hardware. Think of USB 1.x as the dirt road that started the USB journey. Black ports. USB 2.0. Black USB ports usually represent USB 2.0, one of the most common USB standards ever made. It was introduced when growing file sizes began exposing the limits of USB 1.x. USB 2.0 dramatically increased speed to handle photos, music, and external storage. The maximum speed jumped to 480 megabits per second, about 40 times faster than the original USB. In everyday use, this made flash drives and external hard drives far more practical. Transfers were much faster, though still slow compared to modern USB. Its advantages were reliability, compatibility, and low cost. The limitation is speed when handling large modern files. USB 2.0 still works perfectly for low bandwidth devices like keyboards, mice, and adapters. You can think of it as the reliable workhorse of USB. Blue ports. USB 3.0. Blue USB ports typically indicate USB 3.0, the first generation built for truly high-speed transfers. As HD video, large games, and portable storage became common, USB 2.0 became a bottleneck. USB 3.0 solved this by massively increasing bandwidth. It supports speeds up to 5 gigabits per second, more than 10 times faster than USB 2.0. It also allows data to move in both directions at the same time. In real life, this means much faster file transfers. Large backups or video files can move in seconds instead of minutes. The main advantage is speed and improved performance for storage devices. The limitation is that actual speed depends on the device connected. USB 3.0 is ideal for external SSDs and fast flash drives. If USB 2.0 is the highway, USB 3.0 is the express lane. Teal USB port, USB 3.1. Generation 1 teal USB ports are less common, but are often used to represent USB 3.1 Generation 1. Despite the new name, this standard is essentially the same speed class as USB 3.0. The naming came from a rebranding problem. As USB technology evolved, the USB organization renamed several standards, which created confusion. USB 3.0 was later relabeled as USB 3.1 Gen 1, even though the underlying speed stayed the same. This version still supports up to 5 gigabits per second. Internally, it works using the same high-speed data channels introduced with USB 3.0. In real-world use, performance feels nearly identical to blue USB 3.0 ports. Fast flash drives and external SSDs benefit, but everyday devices won't feel much difference. The advantage is compatibility with modern USB systems and decent transfer speed. The downside is the confusing naming. Many people expect it to be faster than USB 3.0 when it really isn't. These ports are suitable for normal external storage, file transfers, and modern peripherals. In simple terms, USB 3.1 Gen 1 is basically USB 3.0 wearing a new label. Red ports, USB 3.1 Gen 2 or USB 3.2 red USB ports are often used to indicate high-speed USB ports, typically USB 3.1 Gen 2 or sometimes USB 3.2. Manufacturers use this color to signal a faster connection. These ports appeared as storage technology improved. External SSDs and large data transfers needed more bandwidth than earlier USB versions could provide. USB 3.1 Gen 2 doubled the theoretical speed to 10 gigabits per second. That's twice the bandwidth of USB 3.0 and USB 3.1 Gen 1. In real-world terms, large files move significantly faster, especially when using modern SSDs. Backups and media transfers that once took minutes can drop to seconds. The advantage is clear: much faster data transfer and better support for high-performance storage. The limitation is that you only get those speeds with devices that support the same standard. These ports are ideal for external SSDs, high-speed storage, and large file workflows. Think of red USB ports as the fast lane designed for heavy data traffic. Yellow USB ports don't represent a specific USB speed. Instead, they usually indicate always on or charging ports. Manufacturers added these ports because many people wanted to charge devices from their computers even when the computer was sleeping or powered off. Technically, the difference is in how power is delivered. The port remains electrically active and can supply power without the system being fully awake. In real-world use, this makes it perfect for charging phones, wireless earbuds, or other small electronics directly from a laptop or desktop. The advantage is convenience. You can charge devices without turning the computer on. The downside is that data speed varies depending on the actual USB version behind the port. These ports are best for charging devices rather than high-speed data transfers. You can think of a yellow USB port as a wall charger disguised as a USB port. Orange USB ports. Orange USB ports are usually used to indicate a high-power charging port. Many manufacturers color these ports differently so users know they can charge devices more reliably. These appeared as laptops began charging phones and tablets. Standard USB power was sometimes too weak, so certain ports were designed to provide more consistent power. Technically, the port stays active and can deliver stronger charging current. In real use, this means your phone or earbuds can charge faster, sometimes even when the computer is sleeping. The advantage is convenient charging directly from your computer. The limitation is that the color doesn't guarantee any specific data speed. Think of an orange USB port as more of a charger than a data port. Are these colors important? With so many USB colors, it's easy to assume there's a strict universal system. In reality, the colors are mostly visual hints. Certain colors are commonly associated with specific speeds. For example, USB 2.0 reaches up to 480 megabits per second. USB 3.0 and USB 3.1 Gen 1 reach up to 5 gigabits per second. And USB 3.1 Gen 2 or USB 3.2 can reach up to 10 gigabits per second. But the color itself does not define the speed. Manufacturers can choose different colors depending on design or features. The real capability of a port always comes from its USB specification, not the paint inside the connector. So USB colors are helpful clues, but never guarantees of performance. If this breakdown was useful, give it a like, subscribe for more deep dive tech content, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video.